All right, good afternoon, folks. Today I'm out on the north end of Lake Okeechobee on the Lake Okeechobee Scenic Trail. Over the next 4, maybe 5 days, I hope to hike around the western half of the lake. Last year in January, I hiked around the eastern half of the lake. That was about 55 miles. The western half should be about the same distance, about 56 miles, 55 miles. A total round trip of 110 miles. I am across the street from the Scott Driver Boatramp over there. That way lies Okeechobee, the town. So I'm gonna set off today and see how this adventure goes. We're starting off with some nice rain as opposed to brutal, unrelenting sunlight, so that's a nice start. All right, 0.2 of a mile in, and the scene is set. Nice, straight shot most of the way. Here we're adjacent to a trailer park, but once we get away from the town, all the civilization will fade away. It'll just be the trail and the landscape on either side. Got our first vulture blocking the path. He's trying to intimidate me with those wings. Pretty creepy looking guy. The birding out here is going to be great. I'm only about 4 miles onto the trail, but I'm going to step off right here because I happen to know there's a restaurant just past that gas station called Lunkers. And I also know that the best calories are the ones that you don't carry on your back. So even though I just started, I'm not particularly hungry. I'm going to take advantage of the restaurant opportunity. There's not going to be too many along the way, so you got to take advantage. There's a nice pier over there too. You can see the storms off in the distance. All right, just had a plate of fried okra there at Lunkers. A nice treat. I'm only going to go about 3.2 more miles today. It's going to be a really light first day. I started super late, just after 4 p.m. So I'm going to start off with, 7.5 mile day. Then next several days, of course, will be double that and more. Looks like there is a group of sandhill cranes ahead. We'll see if they let me get close. All right, we have 3 on the right side, 1 on the left. I'm just going to walk straight through. There's a gator over there too. I don't know if you can see it. It's a cool experience. Those cranes are cool birds. I think a group of them is called a sedge, but I might be wrong. Let's keep going. I think that there's a manatee down there. I saw it surface, but didn't get it on camera. And you can see it a little bit. That's a manatee out there. I think there's a couple in this channel. A bunch of vultures will be my neighbors tonight because I've decided I'm going to set up my tent down there past that water treatment thing because it's such a nice spot. And there's also a Fish and Wildlife office just over there. So first thing in the morning I can get some nice cold water and set out on my way. Meaning, hey, great blue heron, meaning that I've only done 6 miles on my first day, which is really barely anything. So I'm giving myself more work for the next few days, but I got time to spare. I'm not in a great rush. So I'm gonna go set up my tent. That's the spot right there, down in that corner, that caught my attention and where I decided that I'm gonna set up my tent tonight, even though I'm not as far along as I'd like to be. The grass is mowed. It's near that Fish and Wildlife office that opens 8 in the morning. It's right by where I saw that manatee. Just Looks too nice to pass up. There it is. Home sweet tent. Hopefully I see another manatee out here, maybe in the morning, because that's where I saw it earlier. There was also a sand hill just right here next to my tent a few minutes ago. Definitely a cool spot tucked away right here, but still sort of close to civilization. And I got those vultures to keep me company. There's the sand hill. I don't know if you can see him, but he just came back here. I'm guessing this is his turf that I might be encroaching in. Alas, I think that we can live at peace with one another for one night. All right, see you all tomorrow. There's a gator. There's my tent. It's just a reality of Florida backpacking. Gotta be comfortable with that. It's coming towards me. When it gets dark enough, you can see the red eyes reflecting in the light. That's not great. That gator is still right there. All right, good morning. It is day 2. Had a nice night's sleep, and now it's about 7:20 in the morning. I actually moved my tent a little farther away from the water last night after my last video with that gator, just to give myself a little peace of mind and sleep a little better. So I'm gonna set off here and go to that Fish and Wildlife Center that opens at 8 to get some fresh water and be on my way. Well, unfortunately, this FWC office was closed. It is just after 8, around 8:10, so maybe they're just opening late. Anyway, I have a backup plan. Due to some sort of land dispute up there on the levee, I have to walk on the road for 2.5 miles to get around it. And along the road, there should be some gas stations. I really don't prefer road walking on busy roadways, but this is the only section of this hike where I have to do it. Should be 2.5 miles, and we'll start that soon. All right, I gotta cross this bridge, and there's not much room on the side, so I'm gonna wait for a gap and then go. Right. That's about all the space I got, plus this big pack. It does seem to widen up just a little bit up here, and I see a truck coming, so I'm gonna just try to hang over on this edge while the truck goes past me. Hopefully this isn't the last video I make. Let's step up here. Not too bad, actually. So this is called Taylor Creek. That's why I should be going on the levee over there, but it's closed for some reason. There's the Zachary Taylor RV Resort waterfront. You don't hear the name Zachary Taylor much, 12th president, but we are near the Lake Okeechobee battlefield from one of the Seminole Wars, and he was a general at the time, I believe. Got an orange Gatorade and about probably 2 more miles of road walking. There's a real killer over there staring me down. 5 pounds of fury. Back to Butch's. I don't see the place. A little bit of good news mixed with even bigger bad news. The good news is that I'm back on the trail and off the road, right by the water. I can see about 5 gators at once right now, all down there where those people are fishing. But the bad news is that my trusty old water bottle, I dropped it on the road and it's leaking now. So I'm just gonna have to drink the rest of this water and then get rid of the jug. Thankfully I over prepare for this and always pack way too much water and a pump. A filter. So that's the plan. Rest in peace, old water bottle. I've had this one for probably 12 years, and this is the end of the road for it. Probably hard for you to see, but I can count way out there. There's like probably 10 alligators way out there. All right, as I leave this alligator infested area, I'm carrying less weight since I lost that water bottle. That's the upside. I'm heading to a place called, I believe, J&S Fish Camp. I think it's about probably 9 miles from here. And I'm going to make a decision there as to whether or not I'm going to set up my tent there or keep pushing further. Gone about 3 miles so far. I don't know what that guy's doing. The airboat. All right, it's just before 10 a.m. on day 2. About 4.5 miles in so far. I'm gonna stop at this bench and have a proper trail breakfast. Maybe some tuna and a tortilla, some beef jerky. Already had a little mandarin orange on the trail earlier, but this spot looks nice. It feels time to rest once I brush that dead fish off the bench. Well, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to bypass this bench because there's just a massive swarm of flies beneath it because there's another fish carcass. So some trashy people came out here clearly, left their beer cans, fish carcasses, and ruined it for the next person. So don't be that person. Next covered bench is 1.2 miles, so I'll just head that way. All right, this one looks much better. About 5.7 miles in. All right, coming up on this structure right here. There's a water hose. Definitely gonna put some water in my hat, on my head. Not gonna drink it though. And it does not work. Rough day for water out here. I was standing in the shade back there taking a break, and some guy rode up to me on a bike, started asking me all sorts of questions. Asking me if I was recording, where I'm going, stuff like that. Usually encounters on the trail are pretty friendly. I'm not positive about that one. I feel like he might have been sizing me up for something. I don't know. Ultimately he left. But you always got to be careful, you know, whenever you're all alone in remote areas like this, because you are pretty vulnerable. So, you know, present yourself right. All right, about 9 miles in now on day 2. And we will stop here. All right, I'm coming in on the home stretch for the day, hopefully, at about, I don't know, 12.2 miles so far on the day. And having me at about, what, just over 17 total. And this fish camp, J&S Fish Camp, should be up here in about 0.8 miles, so I'm gonna go check that out. I think I should have a restaurant, snacks, maybe a tent site. We'll see. You can see it way down there. There's also something in the path way down there too. Let's see what that is. Heading off in search of this fish camp. There's a couple of houses over here. Closest town to me would be Indian Town, or maybe Port Mayaka if you call that a town. So back around this corner somewhere should be this fish camp. Still looking for the fish camp. Taking me through this little trailer park. Looks like I found it. Let me say, this looks perfect. Okay, so far this place has been awesome. I've met several locals in there who have been incredibly hospitable to me. Free water bottles, you know, various little things I didn't even need, extra toothpaste. And one of the locals said that I could pitch a tent underneath the tree that's near his trailer, so I'm gonna do that. Really great atmosphere in there, really friendly, great spot to cool off, relax, you know, and hear some jokes, have a good time. So this is J&S Fish Camp. All right, here we are, home sweet tent. I could not get the all the stakes in the ground because the ground is really hard, but I'll take it. I'm quite near the shower facilities and access to the tap water, which I hope is good. And thanks to Greg, the guy I met, for letting me put my tent outside of his RV. So that's that. Tomorrow I'm hoping to get about, I don't know, 15 plus miles in. See you all tomorrow. I was just woken up by the sheriffs looking for someone who's not me. It's 5:40 a.m. So I'm going to take that as a sign that it's time to pack up and hit the trail. Alright, it's about 6:30. Everything's ready to go. Good thing is I'll be able to avoid the worst of the heat for the first few miles, hopefully. I think I go that way. Almost back on the trail. Goal for today is about 15, maybe 16 miles. All right, stolen away about 2 miles already. It's about 7:30, 7:32 right now. This looks like a good spot to have some breakfast, to put on some sunscreen, and prepare for the day. I didn't even start walking until about 8:10 yesterday, so I'm ahead. All right, I'm gonna take a break up here at this covered bench. Pretty happy with the pace so far. I'm at just over 6 miles on the day. It's not even 10 o'clock yet. Way off in the distance, you can see the next obstacle I have to overcome, which is the Port Mayaka Bridge, the highest point on the trail. So I'm just gonna rest up here for a bit, prepare myself for the bridge, and enjoy these beautiful sweeping views of the lake. Heading towards the Port Mayaka Bridge. It's kind of cool seeing those boats out there because they're coming from the Atlantic Ocean. This port allows connection between the Atlantic Ocean off to the east and Lake Okeechobee over here. There's a bridge. Very vocal blackneck skimmer. Oh, it's gonna come right over, isn't it? Great bird watching out here. Oh, here comes another one. Correction. I think I said blackneck skimmer. I meant to say blackneck stilt. Those black and white birds with the really long legs you see walking through wetlands, shallow water. It's only been like a mile and a half since my last break. It's so nice and shady down here beneath this bridge. Might see if I can take a nap here, we'll see. I saw a rabbit over there, but it's camera shy. All right, here we go, up onto the bridge. Nice wide shoulder, that's good. Looks like a storm off that way. Alright, here's the top of the bridge. Lake Okeechobee that way, Atlantic Ocean that way. Nice views from up here. And if you're interested in backpacking in Florida, there's a trail called the Ocean to Lake Trail that goes from Lake Okeechobee to the Atlantic Ocean. It's about 63 miles long. I did it a couple years ago and it was a great trail. Highly recommend it. I don't know why they're honking. Almost off the bridge. Here's a nice sign. I'm trying to make it to Canal Point by tonight. Alright, back on the path. And it is not paved. That's a welcome change. It is hot. So I gotta find shade anywhere. I'm underneath this little lip on this water control structure. Down there, that's the trailhead for the Ocean to Lake hiking trail that I was talking about earlier. So if you want, you can combine these two hikes together if you're really feeling ambitious. It's about 5:45 p.m. now, and I'm about 15 miles in on the day, and just over 2 miles out from Canal Point, which is where I think I'm gonna set up camp for the night. So today's looking more like 17, just over 17 miles. pretty happy with it, but man, the sun and the heat was brutal. So I spent a lot of time just hiding in the shade in different places along the trail. Brought a ton of water, and I've been drinking most of it. If you ever try to do this hike during the summer, you can't bring too much water. I finally made it to Canal Point after what feels like one of the longest days of hiking ever. 17.1 miles, but just brutal heat and endless straight stretches out in the sun. I drank this thing in like 12 seconds and it was delicious. Now I'm working on a Pepsi, then a couple Gatorades after that. Gonna be a nice night to sleep in this little park across the street by the levee over there. This looks like a good enough spot. I'm just outside of the park at Canal Point. I think the Canal Point Recreation Area is what it's called. And I like to be in proximity to the water sources and stuff. And also there should be a community center across the street with a bathroom and water fountain and such for the morning. It was just a beautiful sunset out here too. Definitely recommend this place if you want to come see a nice sunset. I sit on one of those benches down there. Sad I didn't get it actually on camera, but you can see those nice colors in the sky. Good morning, folks. Just had my third night on the trail, and I will say that it was the most comfortable. You can see the soft grass here. Not only that, when I woke up around 6 o'clock, it was raining, just a sort of light, gentle rain. So I went back to sleep. Now it's like 9 o'clock. So unlike yesterday morning, I'm getting quite a late start. But I'll take it. That was excellent. Today, I'm hoping to go about 13.5 miles to what's called the Torrey Island Campground. They have devoted tent sites there, and they should have electricity that I can charge my phone in, fresh water, and so on. Which means then that I will be finishing tomorrow, because there's only about 7 or 8 miles left after that. So I knew it was going to be either 3 or 4 nights. At this point I've decided it's going to be 4 nights, just because hiking in this heat out here is really quite challenging, so it's better to take it slow. All right, pack everything up and get ready. All right, here's the really pleasant looking community center where I should be able to access a restroom, and there should be a water fountain too. Out behind the building is where it says on the Far Out app, which is what I use. And bingo, there it is. Forgot my basketball, so I can't shoot any hoops back there. Maybe I'll hit the playground afterwards. I'm gonna go into the Fat Gator again. This is where I came yesterday when I got off the trail. Got all those drinks that I drank way too fast, so I was so thirsty. Just gonna get a Gatorade and a water and something for breakfast, and then hit the trail, start making progress. It's after 10. This place is really nice, by the way. All right, it's 10:15 and we're finally making progress. I got a chicken and cheese empanada from the Fat Gator, and that was really good. Next town is Pahokee. I've heard not so great things about this town. In fact, I believe I've even heard it's called the worst place to live in Florida. Some of the reviews on the trail recommend staying away from it. I'm just gonna go in for a quick resupply, take a glance at it, keep going. And Pahokee should be about 4 miles from here. I can see the water tower off in the distance. We have here what I believe is a crested caracara, which I've really never seen in the wild until this trip. It's being harassed by a mockingbird. And there it goes. Those mockingbirds are unrelenting. That's a cool sighting. There's another one down here I see. Okay, about to head into Pahokee. Let's see what we see. Well, it may not seem like much. There's a lot more going on here than Canal Point. Mango Italian ice. Alright, that's the place I was just in, Jimmy's Catfish in Pahokee. And that was a nice place to stop. I was there for over an hour. Cheap food, good food. Got an Italian ice afterwards. And was able to charge my battery pack too. So pretty nice. All right, let's say we're to Pahokee. No trasps. What does that mean? If anyone knows, let me know. Downtown Pahokee. Well, as I leave Pahokee, my final thoughts are, it is not the awful hellscape that I was led to believe based on what I read online. There was a heavy police presence, but also, there's my water bottle. Really nice restaurant. I mean, to be fair, I only saw a tiny bit of the town. I didn't wander, more than a few blocks in either direction. But it's not so scary that you shouldn't venture into downtown, as some reviews have suggested that I read on the trail. All right, so let's continue onward. It's about 9 miles, or 8.5 miles to my campsite for the night. Taking another sun break. There's Glades Airport right over there. On we go. Looks like we have a nice osprey nest up there. Looks like 3 ospreys and a man-made structure. It's cool to see. I'm out here at Paul Rarden Park. Been hanging out here for about an hour before my final push. Appropriate verse right there for the present situation. All right, gonna pack up my stuff, get back up on the levee. About 3.5 more miles. Looks like they were having a 5K out here. Interesting choice of language for anyone who speaks Spanish out there. I won't translate. It's about 7:30 p.m. now, and I'm about to cross this bridge and go over to the Torrey Island campground. This bridge, I read, is one of the last hand-operated, I think it was called a swing bridge. So I imagine that somehow a person manually opens the bridge to let boats pass. So that'll be cool to walk across. This is the first night on this trip that I'm actually paying for a campground. Last 3 nights have been free. But this, should have some nice amenities, shower, chargers, so on. It's 25 bucks, not terrible. So we'll get over there and see how it is. Torrey Island. All right, about to walk across this bridge to Torrey Island. And in addition to being unique in that it's one of the last remaining hand-operated swing bridges, it's also pretty narrow. Just hoping no one comes flying across. Okay, here we go. Beautiful day out here. See that sun peeking through the clouds. There have been storms off in the distance all day. I only got a few light showers a few different times. Nothing heavy. They said that they left an envelope outside of the gate with my name and information on it. I called them this morning to set up the reservation. So hope that we can find that easily. Bridge is talking to me. All right, let's hope that the packet is here with the card to get through the gate. Got it. They put me all the way in the very back of the campground, probably because they think I smell. And they're probably right. All right, last night of the hike, ending with a really nice, pleasant campsite. Right by a bathhouse, I got electricity, I got water. What more could I ask for? There's a little island within the island. Perfect. Good morning, folks. It's about 7:30 a.m. I already took my rain fly off and get packed up. Head to that restroom over there and then head out. I only have like 7.5 miles left on this last day, so I'm hoping to get done as soon as possible. Right, heading up to Slim's Fish Camp. This should be my last resupply stop before the end of the trail. I think it's the last available one, so hopefully it is the last one. Fine dining. Trust me, I'm not complaining. All right, I'm coming up on the Bean City campsite, which you can kind of see over there behind that water structure. This means that I should be about 3.9 miles away from the end of the trail. Pretty nice feeling. Just got to push through to the end. I'm gonna go rest in that shade for a little bit and get ready for final push. I guess that was Bean City over there. Not much left to it anymore. All right, here we are on the home stretch. About 3.9 more miles. Just gonna take it easy and make it to John Stretch Park. Across that bridge is John Stretch Park, which is where I started this hike in January of 2024 when I did the western half. So I just have to get over there, go on top of the levee, go to the gate where I started, and I'll be done. Last January, I started my hike around Lake Okeechobee at this gate. I walked around the western half of the lake. It was 55 miles. I spent 3 nights on the trail. This time, I backpacked around the eastern half of Lake Okeechobee. I spent 4 nights on the trail, walked 55 miles. And now, when I cross this gate, I will have walked completely around Lake Okeechobee for a total of 110 miles. So this trip is completed. It's been challenging at times, but definitely rewarding. A lot of heat, a lot of open stretches, tons of gators and wildlife and birds. Just a really interesting, challenging, fun experience. Hope you enjoyed the video. Now I'm gonna go home and take a shower, take a nap. Have a nice day, everyone.